WhisperinStoryteller here. I hope you are well. Well, it's Halloween again, folks. Halloween. And I thought I'd drop by to tell you all some great stories or quirky facts all about our favourite horror movies. So I hope you are comfortable, lying nice and snug. Take a few minutes to just adjust yourselves into the right position. It's nice and cosy here, and we will make a start. You ready? Okay, let's begin. So these are all random facts about movies of all eras. So, did you know? Did you know? Oh, did you know that Count Olaf from Nosferatu blinks only once in the movie? In the 9 minutes of screen time that Max Schreck has as Count Olaf in the classic 1922 movie Nosferatu, he blinks only once at the end of part 1. Did you know that? Did you know that The Exorcist is the only horror movie to be nominated for a Best Picture Oscar? Although the horror genre has never got much love from the Academy, and there still seems to be a bias against scary movies during the award season. But The Exorcist earned 10 Oscar nominations in the 1974 ceremony, and a Best Supporting Actress for Linda Blair. Well, she didn't win it, but she was nominated, and she was just 15-year-old at the time. Did you know? Did you know? Robert Englund was not the first choice to play Freddy Krueger. Wes Craven apparently planned to have a stuntman play the immortal youth hater known as Freddy Krueger in A Nightmare on Elm Street. But he wisely opted to use an accomplished actor for the role instead. So his first choice was the brilliant British actor David Warner, who you'll no doubt recognise from Time Bandits, and he played the baddie in Titanic and Star Trek. But David Warner decided to pass on the project, which opened the door to Robert Englund, who did a remarkable job as Freddy Krueger. Did you know? Did you know that Psycho was the first American film to feature a toilet? Well, in addition to being the first American film to show a toilet on screen, oh, the horror of it all, Did you know that Stephen King wasn't a fan of Stanley Kubrick's version of The Shining? He said that he'd admired Stanley Kubrick for a long time and had great expectations for the project. But he was disappointed. He was deeply disappointed at the final end result. Although parts of the film are chilling, with a relentless claustrophobic terror, other elements of it fell flat. He didn't care for the casting of Jack Nicholson. He felt he was wrong for the part, with that huge manic grin, and the audience automatically identifying him as a loony, kind of off-the-wall character. But the book was all about Jack Torrance's slow descent into madness through the influence of the Overlook. What did you think of Jack Nicholson in The Shining? I couldn't imagine it without him, to be honest. Did you know? Or did you know this one? I'll tell you. Did you know Jaws doesn't fully appear in a shot until 1 hour and 21 minutes into the movie? Wow, that is such a long time. But because the rubber shark named Bruce was often not working, Steven Spielberg had to use other ways to build suspense, but that all worked to the movie's credit, to be honest. I'm a huge fan of Jaws. Did you know? Or did you know that Faye Ray thought she'd be starring opposite Cary Grant in King Kong? So, in a way to get Faye Ray to be involved with King Kong, the director, Marion C. Cooper, promised that you're gonna have the tallest, darkest leading man in Hollywood. She didn't expect it to be a giant dip. Poor Faye Ray, but she became one of the biggest screamers in horror movie history. I'm a big fan of King Kong too. Here's another one for you. Did you know? Oh, did you know that it took 7 years to get Aliens made? 7 years, but why did it take so long? The original Alien was made in 1979, but in 1986, before James Cameron brought Aliens to the screens. The reason for this, it was because of a dispute between the film's producers and 20th Century Fox, but they finally agreed, thankfully, and Aliens is now regarded as a classic. Did you know this one? Brian De Palma did not see Sissy Spacek as Carrie. Although Brian De Palma was a fan of Spacek's work, he was convinced he'd already found his Carrie with another actress. And it was Spacek's husband, Jack Fisk, who was art director on the movie, to get her to read an audition for the role of Carrie White. Spacek turned up for the audition wearing an old dress she hadn't worn since grade school, and her hair slicked back with Vaseline. I didn't know that. Mia Farrow has recounted the tense relationship between Roman Polanski and Rosemary's Baby co-star. That in the film's climatic scene, Cassavetes became openly critical of Roman. Roman yelled, "John, shut up," and they moved towards each other and almost came to blows. And it was Ruth Gordon and her professionalism that managed to keep the situation in hand. There's a fact about Rosemary's Baby from 1968. Did you know that in 2015, director George Romero found a lost 9 minutes of footage from his classic zombie movie, Night of the Living Dead? When he was in Maryland, he revealed that he found a 16mm work print of the movie, and 9 minutes reported to be around the jump cut in the basement, and features the largest zombie scene in the movie. I didn't know that, and I've never seen any of the lost footage. I wonder if it's on the internet. It'd be interesting to know. Night of the Living Dead is a really important movie. Without that, we wouldn't have had so many classic movies. And of course, The Walking Dead. Did you know that serial killer Ed Gein inspired 3 major horror movies? Did you know that? I think I did. So he inspired Psycho, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Silence of the Lambs. 3 classic movies were inspired by the horrors of Ed Gein. Did you know that the mask in Halloween wasn't even kind of mentioned in the script? So when you think of Michael Myers, you think of that William Shatner mask. So one of the masks that were considered to be used were a Weary Willy, popularised by actor Emmett Kelly, and the other was a stretched modified version of a Captain Kirk mask. And that's the one they went for because it gave a blank slate for Michael Myers. Could you imagine Halloween with the clown mask? Could you? Did you know that? Did you know that the Babadook scared the hell out of William Friedkin? So William Friedkin, of course, is the director of The Exorcist, and he's claimed that he'd never seen a more terrifying movie than the Babadook. I thought Hereditary was really scary. Did you? In fact, what is your scariest movie? It differs. It can be movies from all different eras. It's hard to pinpoint one, isn't it? Did you know that a double amputee was used to create the Thing's quintessential special effects? So you remember that scene with Dr. Copper trying to revive Norris with a defibrillator, and as he presses the pads on the chest, his arms fall into his chest, and they're severed by these teeth. A very, very grisly scene. this was pulled off by using a real-life amputee. I didn't know that. Did you? Did you know that the original ending of the movie Fright Night was different? Very, very different. The original ending saw Peter Vincent transform into a vampire whilst hosting Fright Night in front of a live television audience. I didn't know that. I don't even think I've seen Fright Night, to be honest. Did you know that the stars of the Blair Witch Project used GPS trackers to find their instructions for the first day? So the production programmed waypoints in the GPS unit for the Blair Witch Project's actors to create milk crates in 3 plastic canisters in them. Each plastic canister contained notes where the story was going for each actor. They were not to show the other actors their papers, and from that point they were free to improvise the dialogue, provided they followed the general instructions given to them. That's an interesting way to make a movie, isn't it? Did you know that Paranormal Activity is one of the most profitable films of all time? And it's often compared to the Blair Witch Project because of its low-budget nature and huge grosses, which was 10 years after the Blair Witch Project's release. Did you know that The Blob was supposedly based on a true story? I certainly didn't know that, and I still am not convinced it's true, to be honest, but let's have a look to see what this says. So on September the 27th, 1950, the Philadelphia Inquirer ran an article with the headline, "Flying Saucer Just Dissolves." The night before, police officers John Collins and Joe Kineen swore that they'd watched a mysterious object fall from the sky. Rushing towards the landing site, the men stumbled upon a purple jelly-like mass. Collins and Keenan immediately summoned 2 of their colleagues who arrived just in time to watch the material evaporate without a trace. The FBI was contacted, a press conference was held, and the whole mess became a national laughing stock. Do you believe that? Let me know in the comments if you believe that. Did you know that Joel Cohen got his first break as an assistant editor on The Evil Dead? Of course, the Coen brothers are Oscar-winning film duo. They did a lot of things like Fargo and Blood Simple, but they actually helped edit The Evil Dead, which was Sam Raimi's first movie. A lot of very famous filmmakers made their start in horror. It's fascinating. Did you know that Tim Burton was a contender with Joe Dante to direct Gremlins? So there was a lot of buzz surrounding Tim Burton on the success of his short movie Frankenweenie, so much that Steven Spielberg considered him to direct Gremlins. But the fact that Burton had yet to direct a feature film worked against him, so the gig was given to Joe Dante, and a year later, Burton released his first theatrical feature, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So there you have it. Did you know that Bob Clark's idea for a sequel to Black Christmas sounds awfully familiar. Well, A Christmas Story will be the lasting part of Bob Clark's legacy, but for horror fans, he did it in the 70s with Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, Death Dream, but Black Christmas, one of the very first slasher films, earned a cult classic and earned him a dedicated following. Now, Clark said in an interview that John Carpenter asked him if he would consider making a sequel for Black Christmas. But Clark felt he was through with horror. He didn't come in the business just to make horror movies. Carpenter asked him what the sequel would be like if he did decide to make one, and Clark gave him the idea that sounds very familiar to a lot of fans of the genre. So Clark said the sequel would take place the next year and would consider the guy being caught from the first movie, then escaping from the mental institution to go back to the house, and it would start all over again, and he would call it Halloween. So John Carpenter then copied that idea. I've never heard that one before, have you? Did you know that Gene Hackman was slated to star in and direct Silence of the Lambs? So Gene Hackman and Orion Pictures split the $50,000 needed to the movie rights to the book, but Hackman dropped out days after he watched clips of himself at the 1989 Oscars as FBI agent Alan Parker in the violent Mississippi Burning, and decided not to follow up a dark role with an even more unlikable character. Imagine Gene Hackman in the role of Hannibal Lecter. You can't, can you? You just cannot erase Anthony Hopkins out of your head. Did you know that Child's Play was inspired by a real event? Now we're talking the Chucky movie here, which I've never seen, by the way. So this happened in 1909. Apparently it involved a family servant's placing a voodoo curse on a childhood toy, a Robert the doll. And mysteriously the doll would move from room to room, knock furniture over, and conduct conversations in private. Take what you will from that one. It sounds like a tall story to me. Here's one for you. Did you know the Conjuring's Ed and Lorraine Warren were real-life paranormal investigators? Now that's the couple who were in the Amityville. They were involved with the Amityville case as well. And the Conjuring, they feature in Annabelle and some of the other Conjuring movies. Interesting. Did you know that Damien from The Omen was going to have a different name? Imagine that. So screenwriter David Seltzer planned to name his Antichrist Domlin after the total obnoxious brat child of a friend, and his wife convinced him that would be a horrible thing to do for the kid. Domlin. I've never even heard of that name before, Domlin. But I prefer Damien, to be honest. I much prefer Damien. Did you know that the creature from the Black Lagoon was modelled after the Oscar statue? Creature from the Black Lagoon is one of my all-time favourite Universal monsters. So much I've even got my own here. You might have seen him on my background. I've had him for years. There he is. But he was actually actually modelled on the Oscar statuette. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Did you know that Bruce Campbell made $93,000 for Army of Darkness? Did you know that an actual witch was hired to help make the movie The Craft more authentic? To make sure that the depiction of Wicca in The Craft was as close to real life as it could be, the filmmakers hired Pat Devin as a consultant. She was a member of the oldest and largest Wiccan religious organizations in the United States. I didn't know that. Did you know that the name of the demon in The Exorcist is Pazuzu? Pazuzu. Though it's never stated in the film, the demon that takes possession of Regan McNeil has a name, and it is Pazuzu. The name is taken from the king of the demons in Assyrian and Babylonian mythology. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. Did you know that Wes Craven regretted teasing a sequel in A Nightmare on Elm Street? I sometimes think it's always best to leave a movie in one installment. When they can start getting derivative sequels that repeat and repeat. But let's read why Craven did that. So, Craven was rather staunchly opposed of any sort of sequel tease finale, but the big boss, Bob Shea, at New Line Cinema, insisted on one. He wanted a hook for a sequel, Craven told Vulture. I felt that the film should end when Nancy turns her back on Freddy and his violence, and that's the one thing that kills him. But Bob wanted to have Freddy back up the kids in a car and drive off, which reversed everything I was trying to say. It suddenly presented Freddy as a triumphant villain. Interesting. Did you know that Stanley Kubrick allegedly typed up all of those all work and no play pages in The Shining? That must have took a long time. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Did you know the ending of Psycho was spoiled months before the film's release? Despite Hitchcock's fervent and admirable attempts at keeping the project a secret, both Variety and The Hollywood Reporter published very thorough spoilers regarding the Psycho plot months before the movie even came out. Trust them to spoil it, eh? Did you know that Steven Spielberg thought his DVD copy of Paranormal Activity was haunted? And he famously carried the DVD to work and put it in a trash bag because he was convinced that the actual DVD was haunted. Wow, I didn't think you'd be that susceptible to another movie's being scary. Did you know that Drew Barrymore was slated to star in Scream, but she changed her mind on being the lead just weeks before the production was set to begin? She instead suggested she plays Casey Becker, the teen terrorized by the killer in the opening sequence. Eventually, we had Neve Campbell, who took over, But imagine if Drew Barrymore had been in that role. Did you know that James Cameron had to quash a mutiny on the set of Aliens? That's interesting. So, Aliens was shot at England's historic Pinewood Studios, which provided its own unionised crew members for the production using the facilities. Some of these workers resented the 14-hour day and having no idea what James Cameron was capable of. Remember that the Terminator had not been opened yet, and these workers thought that Cameron was in over his head. In particular, the first assistant director thought that he should be directing Aliens instead. He mocked Cameron and called him governor and rolled his eyes up at him and got himself fired for insubordination. The new first assistant director behaved respectfully, and things were much better after that. Wow. And James Cameron has become one of the most accomplished movie directors since all of that, of course. Did you know that Sissy Spacek was adamant that her own hand was used for that end scene of Carrie, although Brian De Palma wanted to get a stunt person for that final scene where Sue Snell visits Carrie White's grave? Spacek insisted that it needed to be her hand that was shown, which required her to be buried in the ground. I laughed about that. Spacek told NPR, "I do my own foot and hand work, and I always have." That is real method acting, isn't it? Wanting to be involved in every single scene of the character that you play. Did you know that Buffalo Bill's dance in Silence of the Lambs was not actually in the script? But it was in the original book, and Ted Levine, the actor who played the serial killer Jamie Gum, or Jame Gum, insisted that the scene would be included because it helped explain the demented character a little further. Did you know that the original ending in the script had the shark dying of a harpoon injuries inflicted by Quint and Brody, as it did in Moby Dick? But Spielberg thought the movie needed a crowd-pleasing finale and came up with the exploding tank as seen in the final movie. The dialogue and the foreshadowing of the tank were then dropped in as they shot the movie. Some of all the best scenes are done ad hoc as well. A lot of movies did things at the moment and kind of stayed in the final film. Our last fact of tonight is about Hereditary, which is a great scary movie. And did you know that Hereditary director Ari Aster's favourite scene in the movie was that scene? The scene in the car with the